Welcome to Prairie Mosaic, a patchwork of stories about the arts, culture, and history in our region.
Hi, I'm Matt Oline.
And I'm Barb Gravel. On this edition of Prairie Mosaic, we'll learn about a famous line of Minnesota boats, restore artwork for future generations, and listen to a musician from Rochester, Minnesota. In 1909, the Northern Pacific Railway recruited workers and families from Italian communities in Minneapolis and Wisconsin to Dilworth, Minnesota. The cultural impact on Northwest Minnesota not only included their food, religion, and music, but also their sense of perseverance and family pride.
You only needed to come from one family, and you belonged to all of them. That's the way it was in Little Italy. My mother's side, who would be the Altobellis and the DeBritas, came from Ellis Island. Now my dad's side, the Olivieris, the Persicillis, I understand came in Boston Harbor. Some ended up in Cumberland, Wisconsin. Then they went to the Levee in St. Paul.
All of my grandparents came through Ellis Island. My mother's side of the family settled in Chicago, and my dad's side of the family settled in Wisconsin. Both families separately, not knowing each other, came to Dilworth.
And then some stayed in Dilworth in Little Italy, and then others just kept going all the way out to California. They followed the railroad.
Well, Dilworth was settled due to the railroad.
The railroad set up sidings about every 6 miles or so along the railroad line. In 1882, they established one about 4 miles east of the Red River. They named it Richardson for a local landowner. The next year, they changed the name to Dilworth for Joseph Dilworth, a member of the Northern Pacific Railway's board of directors. Starting in 1907, the railroad actively recruited Italian laborers to come up from Minneapolis, St. Paul, western Wisconsin.
From my grandparents and my dad talking, there was a little bit of discrimination at that time against Italians. They were only allowed to work on the section as laborers.
They were given the dirtiest, hardest jobs, had to work for many years in the coal dock or the ice house.
They weren't allowed to be engineers or trainmen. That changed after my dad graduated high school. He went to Moore State College, and while at college he applied for a trainman's job in Dilworth, and they hired him, and that opened the door. Through the years, I would bet 75% of the kids and relatives my age, we all worked on the railroad at one time.
My grandfather, on my dad's side, the Olivieri side, he was a foreman for 60 years on the railroad in Dilworth, and Grandpa Tony was also, also worked on the railroad. They all did, all the Italians. They were hard workers.
The town of Dilworth grew very, very quickly. In 1910, a fellow named Carl Bean sold some lots to Rosina Boit, an Italian woman that lived in the immediate area. And she turned around and sold a lot of those lots to her Italian neighbors. Pretty soon there was a sizable Italian community. That became Little Italy.
Little Italy was on the south side of the railroad tracks, and the main part of Dilworth was on the north side of the railroad tracks. Actually, the name Little Italy was given to Dilworth by the people that lived on the north side.
The name Little Italy, I never heard of anybody resenting that. We were very proud of it. You know, where are you from? Little Italy in Dilworth.
And it was just a neighborhood of basically all Italians, and they were all related.
And if you walked down the street and you saw a light on, you could walk into that house and they'd give you a plate of food.
Family was basically the most important thing growing up.
We didn't have a lot of money growing up. We had family. That was our legacy. My relatives were divided by a driveway. I had my mom's relatives on one side and my dad's relatives on the other side of the driveway. And all of my cousins were raised like brothers and sisters.
We all hung together. We all played together. We were attached to the church.
Every morning before I went to school, I went to church.
Then we'd do the evening masses during Lent and those type of things. And it was just a place where everybody congregated.
You know, it's something you don't see anymore. I didn't realize I was growing up in such a great time.
One of my fondest memories is Christmas Eve Mass that would start at midnight on Christmas Day. And the Italian families would open their homes to whoever was at church, and they would eat. They would eat all night long. And it would start like 1:30 in the morning. You would house hop and eat till the sun came up. St. Elizabeth was started by a bunch of Italian families. One of the big things they brought was their cooking culture. Our priest, which I remember, Father Gans, was from Germany. He taught the women to start having 2 Italian dinners a year.
We all worked. My mom, she was one of the original gals. I washed dishes, my dad worked, and it's still going today. My dad's name is Funzi. His name was Frank Oliver Jr., but they called him Funzi. He was the original Fonz with the pompadour hairdo. He went to Moeller Barber College in Minneapolis and set up his shop on the main street of Dilworth, and it was there for 60 years. And everybody came to Dad. That was the meeting place in town. The night after a football game, all the coaches were downstairs going over every play they had. A lot of good memories in that barbershop. I could go on for hours and hours.
It seemed like every household made bread once a week. Like my grandpa, if he needed bread, he'd walk down to one of the neighbors who was making it that day, and he'd trade her something out of the garden for a couple loaves of bread. Everybody had a big garden. All the tomato sauce was made by hand. I mean, hundreds of quarts of tomato sauce each family would make. If you went to 10 different aunts or cousins' home and had spaghetti, everybody's sauce would taste just a little bit different. Everybody kind of put their own spin on it, the way their family liked it. I've cooked for thousands of people for dinners over the last 30 years, and I don't measure anything. It's a handful of this and a handful of that, like my mother taught me. They made wine once a year over in Little Italy. A boxcar from a train would come in to Dilworth, and they'd set it aside, and then all the Italian families that ordered grapes would have a couple of days to go and unload the grapes. They came in 36-pound boxes. Everybody would go from home to home to home to home for about a 2.5 week period making wine. Everybody had their own barrels, their own presses, their own grinders. Every home had a wine cellar in it.
2023, we had a family reunion, and a lot of people helped pull that together. And that was a testament to what the Italian Little Italy was. 800 people came back for that. I think there's 30 states that came.
It was something that I never felt I'd see in my lifetime.
There were cousins there I'd never seen before. There were cousins that we hadn't seen a lot of.
Either they grew up in Little Italy, or their grandpa did, or their dad or ma, or whatever the occasion was. It was mind-blowing that many people got together and we had that much fun. I think the culture, cooking, the holidays, all those things just seemed to brought people here from Italy, from around the country, and then came to Dilworth because of the railroad.
Former students and friends of Cyrus M. Running came together to restore his final large mural in collaboration with the Rourke Art Museum in Moorhead, Minnesota. The restoration efforts highlight the reach Running had through his work at Concordia College and preserves his legacy for future art enthusiasts.
Cy was really a force to be acknowledged and revered in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Students who took art at Concordia during the Running period went there because of him and his design ability.
His Wikipedia article says that he was a regionalist painter, and that's a little too confining for Running. He grew up in this big part of the United States we used to call the Great American Desert, born in Veblen, South Dakota, where his father was a Lutheran pastor. They moved to 2 parishes in Montana, Big Sandy and Havre, and then to Idaho before they circled back to Minnesota, to Zumbrota, where he graduated from high school, and he went to Northfield to St. Olaf College. Came to Concordia in 1940 to really start the art department.
Cy Running was my teacher at Concordia College from 65 to 69. And I took design from him, I took painting from him. He was a mentor to me and fellow students. He was a wonderful guy. He was known for his design work, his ability to break up space and organize space, and everything was very figurative.
He has a fine hand and a very firm hand when it comes to making things. Good at drawing, good at making.
He was inspired by his experience of living in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico in 1955 and 1956.
I always thought when Cy painted, he always painted with a little bit of Mexico in his heart.
The last huge mural that he did was this one for the Ylva Library at Concordia. It's 54 feet long and 8.5 feet high. He designed it and completed the painting in, I think, under 4 months, which is pretty amazing.
It was painted from the spring of 1966 and finished up in the fall. That summer of '66, he was really busy painting this thing. He was commissioned by the family of Gordon Monternac. Gordon was his neighbor who died at a young age, in his 40s, I believe, and they had planned for this mural, but it took 10 years before the funding came forward. I'm a graduate of Concordia, and while there, I enjoyed this mural very much, sitting in the reading room of the library. I remember when it first appeared with that lighted exit sign and the fire alarm with the kid pulling it, I was just really delighted. It's dreamlike, and it's merging all kinds of periods of time, slightly illustrational. It's there to make the students comfortable with the idea of being in a library. It exhibits lifelong learning.
Running put little jokes in, like graffiti on a wall that says toads make warts. And he has little things like that that are hidden inside.
You see a kid walking along nonchalant with a baseball bat and a couple of guys fixing a broken church window, and you just get the feeling that kid with the bat is probably Running or one of his friends. And in the final panel, you notice a very nice tribute from Cy to his friend and neighbor, Gordon. Blythe Spirit, he calls him.
My friend Mark Strand and I used to go look at it, and we saw probably around about 20, 25 years ago that it was starting to deteriorate from water, humidity, temperature changes. And so we kept saying that at some point something needed to be done about it, and wouldn't it be fitting if one of his ex-students actually restore it and fix it. And that didn't happen until a couple of years ago, where we actually got it going through the Rourke Art Gallery Museum under Jonathan Rudder. It took about 1.5 years to fully restore all of the 13 panels. It was a full-time job. The damage was really extensive on the left side of the mural, the first 3 panels. A lot of the canvas was just wasted away, rotted away, just deteriorated and fell apart. It was like putting together potato chips. After getting those pressed down in place, I had to put filler in between the potato chip pieces, and then that was sanded down. Then it was retouching with paint.
I like his color palette. Like when you drive out here in the country and you see this yellow-green everywhere in the landscape, you contrast that with the yellow-orange, and there's the Running palette.
There's a lot of greens and yellows in his palette. You won't find any blue. Just trying to figure out what he did so I could match it. It was an interesting process in itself. For those who remember it being in the library at Concordia, if they saw how it had deteriorated and then it was removed, and people would ask what happened to it.
One of the aides to one of the Concordia presidents said to me, that mural was not beloved. Well, we loved it, and we decided to fix it.
For me personally, it was a matter of respecting Cy and his work and his legacy. And I've sort of been pushing for this for 20-some years. It's a great story. And if you look at murals from the past, that's what they are about. Murals are about telling stories and history. I'm now part of this mural. It's great that one of his students was able to work on it and restore it. And just seeing what a legacy has developed around this man, and realizing what a big deal he was and how talented he was. And he was a great teacher.
His biggest legacy is a lot of very talented, strong artists. They believe in what they're doing, they're living well. That's the greatest legacy.
Larson Boat Works is recognized far and wide for many different kinds of boats, but primarily for the world-famous Falls Flyers. In this Artifact Spotlight, Casey Johnson tells us the story of these unique boats.
Hi, I'm Casey Johnson, the Associate Director here at the Legacy of the Lakes Museum in Alexandria, Minnesota, and this is our Artifact Spotlight. I'm standing here with our Falls Flyer collection that we have here at the museum, and Falls Flyers were created by Larson Boat Works, and Larson Boat Works is one of those Minnesota brands that is instantly recognizable all over the world. They have built many, many boats for many, many years. It all started with Paul Larson way back in the 19-teens. So he built his first boat at age 11, but he sold his first boat at age 19. By 1925, he had opened his very first factory on the Mississippi River in Little Falls, Minnesota. Primarily, they built wood boats, but eventually in the 1940s, they broke into aluminum boats, which eventually became Crestliner, and then in the 1950s, they experimented with fiberglass. The Falls Flyers are a very unique boat that is extremely special and highly sought after today. Falls Flyers were built by Larson to celebrate and honor his friend Charles Lindbergh, who was a fellow Little Falls, Minnesota native. Larson based the design of the Falls Flyers off of Lindbergh's JN4 Jenny biplane, and he even based the color scheme off of that, which is the cream, red, and black. This one here is a 17-foot from 1939. This one is extremely rare. It's the only 17-foot that was ever built, but they did have a 21-foot model available. And it wasn't actually very popular because it's an inboard and it was kind of tippy if you look at the design and hull shape of this boat. So they weren't very popular, but that didn't stop them, and many more Falls Flyers came after that. In addition to building inboards, Larson also built Falls Flyers outboards. And so the difference between those is that inboards have the engine inside and outboards are a separate motor that's attached to the back. Falls Flyers were constructed a little differently than many mainstream wooden boats at the time period in that they were using cedar strip construction. Cedar strip actually takes thin pieces of cedar and glues them together rather than using the wide planks. And so it glues the cedar strips over an oak frame, and then after that you take airline canvas or airplane canvas and glue it over that frame. So that's where you get this. It does look like fiberglass, but it is actually canvas. Another fun detail that's a nod to just Minnesota heritage is that a lot of the Falls Flyers have little loon decals on the nose of the hulls. Falls Flyers were produced by Larson through the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, but by the 1960s, demand for them had lessened, and at that time they hardly looked like this anymore. We have another Falls Flyer here at the museum. That's a 1958, which is one of the last years that Larson produced Falls Flyers. And you can see that the design of them is still technically inspired by flight, but in a different way. So in the 1950s, there was the space race and people's fascination with getting to the moon, getting to space. And so a lot of automotive design took its nod from rocket ship design. So you see a lot of tail fins on cars. Well, boats of the time also then incorporated the tail fin design. And so our 1958 Larson has that tail fin design on it. Another unique piece of Falls Flyer history that we have here at the museum is a Falls Flyer automobile. Now, this is not an amphibicar. You can't just drive it into the lake, but it is made out of a boat that was put on a Volkswagen chassis in the 1960s. And then they custom built all these fenders and pieces on that car. It's just a really cool thing, and it draws a lot of people's attention to the museum and gets them in so we can share the rest of the Falls Flyer story with them. What I love about Falls Flyers is that they really are something that shows Minnesota lake life, but also the industry that Minnesota lake life inspired. So many unique designs and boat shapes and looks came out of Minnesota through Larson, Lund, Crestliner, Alumacraft, all these different brands. And these Falls Flyers are just one of the many, many different styles that you can see out on Minnesota's lakes today and even beyond.
Hannah Lou Woods is a singer and songwriter from Rochester, Minnesota, who constructs heartfelt lyrics and melodies to reflect her own personal journey. She's received numerous awards for her folksy, bluesy pop songs and has graced the Prairie Musician stage with her talent.
I've been afraid to speak my truth, that I've been tongue-tied up all night waiting for a love like you. it's hard to show you how I feel, yes. That's why I wanna be loved by you. I wanna be held right through. Oh, darling, all the things that we could do, yeah. I wanna be, would you wanna be loved by me too? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I've been trying to speak that truth that I've been hoping and waiting, praying for a love like you. And though I've tried this so many times before, they always wanted more than I could give, yes. That's why I wanna be loved by you. I wanna be held right through. Oh, darling, all the things that we could do, yeah. I wanna be, would you wanna be loved by me too? Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, oh, yes. Oh, oh, yes. Oh, oh, yeah. Oh. Wouldn't it be great to be loved? We could rise above like a white dove. All we're dreaming of. I wanna love you till the break of dawn, till the light turns on and the silence turns into a song. Wouldn't it be great to be loved? We could rise above like a white dove. All we're dreaming of. I wanna love you till the break of dawn, till the light turns on and the silence turns into a song. Yes, I wanna let go, yeah. Let go, let go, let go. Let go, yeah. Let go, let go, let it go. I wanna be loved by you, held right through the things that we could do. I wanna be, but you wanna be loved by me too. Would you wanna be loved? I wanna let go, yeah. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Because I believe in a love like that. I believe in a love that lasts beyond the confines of time and space. I believe I have known your face, so how can a heart forget her past? I believe in a love that lasts beyond the confines of time and space. I believe in a resting place. Whoa. Breathe in love. Let your heartbeat be enough. Breathe in love. Oh, let your heartbeat be enough. in love, breathe in joy, breathe in peace, breathe it all. Whatever it is you need, just breathe, breathe in love. Oh, let your heart beat, beating us.
If you know of an artist, a topic, or an organization in our region that you think might make for an interesting segment, please contact us at prairiemosaic@prairiepublic.org.
You can watch this and other episodes of Prairie Mosaic on Prairie Public's YouTube channel and follow Prairie Public on social media as well. I'm Matt O'Lean.
And I'm Barb Gravel. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Prairie Mosaic. Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.